Suri Cruise has been marked safe from Scientology. Scientology also got called out at Comic-Con in the most hilarious of ways. And speaking of calling out, oh no, Nora, it's called out a celebrity. Hello and welcome. Hello to everybody in the chat. Great to see you. Hello to the members for being here. I appreciate your support so much. And I really want to thank the mods today for helping out. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult. And we have all kinds of fun and not so fun. Sometimes it's fun Scientology news, cult news. Sometimes it's outright disturbing. Usually it's the latter, but sometimes we just have to laugh about it because of the ridiculousness. And I know that's going to surprise you guys. You can be saying, Natalie, what do you mean? Scientology is ridiculous. What are you saying? Yeah, I'm saying that. I'm saying it. After 35 years in this cult, the conclusion that I came to after I left is Scientology is ridiculous. That's it in a nutshell. It really is. We're going to get into a bunch of stuff, including how Suri Cruise, we got some Suri Cruise news. I have thoughts about it. I have feelings. We're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss my thoughts and feelings and yours. But first, let's take a look at something just so adorably cute. Look at this, you guys. How adorable is this? This is SCOTTYSDOGGYMAMA letting all the doggies know that Scientology hurts children and traffics humans. Let's take a look at this.
Did you know that Scientology is child abusing and human trafficking cult, and you need to stay away from them, right? You can tell all the other little doggies. Okay, thank you. Kiki.
Tell all the other little doggies. I love that. Well, Haggis Basher, your Tigi is just so cute and adorable. I can hardly stand it. How do you not share that? Thank you so much for sending it. And remember, whether you're watching content about cults and Scientology or you're a content creator, you can always email me clips or a timestamp. Tell me what I'm looking at. Send it to Natalie@lifeafteraccult.com. We try to fit in as many things we can on the daily recap here. I wish we could get everything. It would probably take us multiple hours to get through the show if we did it that way. But please do send them in because I appreciate it. And if you're a content creator, share your own content as well. Again, timestamp or a clip. Tell me what I'm looking at. Okay, now I saw this clip, this short, and it triggered me on a couple of levels. Let's just say that. So we're going to look at it. It's so interesting to me because this is from a YouTube channel. I think it's called Good Fight Ministries, but they're talking about, is Scientology better than Christianity? And they're sharing a clip of a guy, and I couldn't find out who the guy was. So I'm kind of asking you guys on this clip, who is this guy who's talking about Scientology? Early in the clip, because I don't know who that is, and I'm wondering where that original content came from. Link down below to all the clips, videos, articles that we're going to be looking at so you can read them. You can watch them in their full at your leisure whenever you like. So in the meantime, let's go over and look at this. And this is titled Scientology is Better Than Christianity, of course, posed as a question.
Matter of human common sense and tolerance. I mean, it's no... If you want to get into it, if you want to put Christianity on one hand and Scientology on the other, what's created more problems in the world?
Right.
It's not an argument I think a Christian would want to get into.
Right.
You know?
So who's that guy? This is what I can't figure out. And I went to the link of the people who shared this video, and I couldn't find where that was.
So
wow, that's an incredibly sophomoric argument. Scientology has influenced less than one fraction of 1% of humanity.
And he goes on to make the point about how, no, this is actually not true, which I think we can all agree with. Because again, Scientology has very little impact in terms of its number of members. Their impact is through propaganda. It's through videos. It's through all of this. Look at it. Look at Everybody Loves the Way to Happiness. Look at everything that we're doing with the Foundation for a Drug-Free World. All of the Scientology propaganda on it. I'm going to keep an eye out in the comments. I'm going to go back and read through to see if anybody knew who that was. Kathy thinks he's cute, but maybe you were talking about the dog. Either way, do you know who he is? Hello to everybody coming in and enjoying. Please, if you could all in an orderly fashion, go over to the like button and give it a little aloha tap. Give it a little boom, boom, bang, bang. Let's see. Oh, Paralyzed to Paralyzed says that looks like Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails, but I can't swear to it. But what would he be doing talking about Scientology? Because I feel like we would have known or heard at this point if that person was in Scientology. So it's a mystery. I think we're going to solve it together. Okay, so Sins of Scientology. We mentioned this yesterday, but I didn't yet share a clip, and I want to share a clip. New episode dropped. It's a total makes your hands sweat, edge of your seat one.
Imagine stepping into a story where every detail matters, where the decisions of a family led to unthinkable tragedy. In this episode, the heartbreaking tragedy of Jeremy Perkins, When Faith Fails and Madness Prevails, you'll uncover 3 crucial insights that make this a must-listen for anyone seeking to understand the complex intersection of faith, mental illness, and tragedy. You'll learn how the Perkins family deep-rooted faith in Scientology influenced their every decision, leading them to reject traditional psychiatric help in favor of alternative treatments.
That is the key point right there, rejecting traditional psychiatric help. It is an episode about Jeremy Perkins. Absolutely check it out. It's one of the so many stories in Scientology are tragic that to try to quantify it as this is the most tragic or that's the most tragic, but truly this one is up there, and definitely one worth knowing and understanding because it really speaks to the lack of help in Scientology, of valid mental health help, mental health therapy, even acknowledging that mental health is a thing is not so Scientology, because you're an immortal being that's in a meat puppet body. And yes, I've heard it referred to that way in Scientology, my meat puppet. I once heard a Scientologist say that they were going to go to the beach to tan their meat. I know that's so gross. I feel gross just saying it. I feel like I need a shower now. I need a cleansing. Where's my sage when I need it? That's so gross. Let's move on to L. Ron HUBCULT in Denmark. We've been following the protests they've been doing in Denmark. There's been amazing press in Denmark, front page news about Scientology, exposing Scientology and sharing the personal experience and story of a man who was in the Sea organization. Well, as part of all that, of course, you got to know Scientology there is like, oh, how could we possibly get rid of these protesters and live streamers? How can we make it stop? They try to get restraining orders. Well, L. Ron HUBCULT has, they've been going after him to get a restraining order, and he had a little update on that. Let's take a look at a clip.
Spoiler alert, there is nothing yet. I talked to the police, and he listed out what location we were at and what we said here and there, you know. But I will go to the police station Wednesday at 12:30, and I will talk to him personally, and he will read all the claims.
So hopefully we'll get more of an update, but that's something that is ongoing, and you can follow what's happening in Denmark by following L1 HUBCULT or Scientology Up North. Those are 2 channels you want to be subscribed to kind of make sure you stay on top of what is happening there. And hello, Casey Cat from steamy Kansas City. Oh, girl. It is so hot here today in Minnesota. The humidity is next level. I walked outside. I thought I was in Florida. It was not my thing at all. Not my thing. So of course I am in the house with the blinds closed and the air conditioning on. We're under a heat advisory, I think, for the rest of the day today. Don't like it that hot. Do not at all. Okay, so let's talk about Oh No Nora. I love when Oh No Nora does a good call out of a celebrity. We've had this conversation before on the channel about it's an interesting thing when you're a celebrity who has left Scientology, because on one hand, you're still an ex-Scientologist who needs to recover from a traumatic experience. And on the other hand, as a celebrity where you can reach a lot of people with a large platform, there's often a hope that they will use it to expose Scientology or share that experience. But they're still real people. So I too end up with mixed feelings about it. And I guess all we can do is kind of have a wish list of celebrities that we would like to speak out at some point when they're ready and able to. We just wish that that would be sooner sometimes, but I get it as well. It's you have your own path to walk with it, whether you're a celebrity or not. But let's see. Let's take a look at a short that No Nora put out. This is about Laura Prepon and Nora calling out famous Scientology escapees.
All you have to do is tell the truth about what you experienced, what you witnessed, what you ran from, and that's enough. But not saying those things, not telling the truth, not revealing the behind the scenes info that you have, you are still a safe point for Scientology. Okay. And reinventing yourself as this fun, influencer, whatever you want to call it, BS. It doesn't fly with me. It doesn't fly with me. All you have to do is.
I get that. And there in the chat, it looks like some of you have celebrities. And that's a great question. What celebrity ex-Scientologist would you like to see speak out? We've got Jason Lee. That would be a good one. Laura Prepon, of course. I mean, honestly, I would take anybody in the Presley family, be it Priscilla Presley, Riley Keough, who's her granddaughter, who was Lisa Marie Presley's daughter. I mean, we can go on and on here. Antics of a Mama Squirrel says, I want Beck to speak out about Teresa Duncan. Who's Teresa Duncan? Antics of a Mama Squirrel. Can you tell us in the chat? Or if you want to email me, Natalie@lifeafteroccult.com. I would love to hear who that is. I don't think I'm familiar with that. I mean, Beck, but not the other person that you mentioned. All right. Also in Scientology news, JENNA MISCAVIGE, many of you know her. She's got a channel here on YouTube. She wrote the book Beyond Belief about her experience growing up in Scientology and this organization and what it was like having the last name Miscavige, not just while in Scientology, but also since being out of Scientology, she talks about as well. And she did a video. She's been kind of answering a question a day. And she did this video on healing from Scientology that I thought was really interesting. Let's take a look at a clip.
Another aspect to this is that I very much think that an important part of bringing Scientology down or sort of neutralizing the effects that they've done is healing. Meaning exposing them is so important. Getting their tax-exempt status revoked is so important. But so is healing for the people who were in it and the people who will leave. And that is a part that is not addressed as often as, it could be. And so anything that I have learned along the way that has been helpful to me, I just think that it would be helpful to even more than just ex-Scientologists to share what I've gone through. And also it's really helpful to me to hear people's stories in the comments, to hear what they've been through, to hear what has been helpful to them, because that's just such great information for me.
That is so true. And I know that I've talked about this, the amount of people that we hear from here in this community, especially those of you never in Scientology, but all in on bringing down the cult. Some of you have experienced high control groups, whether it was officially a cult or not, or experienced some level of trauma. And how do you deal with it? How do you get through it? What is, your healing path? When people share that, it is really helpful. When I was leaving Scientology and implementing my 2-year plan to leave with as many family members as possible, one thing I did a ton of was get on the internet and read stories of people who had left Scientology or were leaving Scientology and under the radar, as we call it, because for whatever reason, they don't want Scientology to know yet. It could be family connections. It could be business connections. There's a multitude of reasons why someone might not want to come out officially right away as an ex-Scientologist. But these stories of healing and people sharing their experience, because for so many of us, we were convinced that we were the only one that saw that. We were the only one looking at that and going, hey, that seems abusive. Hey, that seems like a human rights violation. Call me crazy. We're not the only ones. And when we see those stories, when I saw those stories on different message boards that existed at the time, because when I left Scientology, there weren't so many people on YouTube sharing about it. And the fact that there is today does make it helpful for not just people in Scientology, but for people in other high control groups or cults or even abusive situations. These stories, I found what they helped me feel a bit more brave and a bit more confident in what I saw with my own eyes. Because so much in Scientology is so gaslighting into believing that you're not seeing what you're seeing, that you're seeing it wrong. You have crimes against Scientology. You need interrogations. You need security checks and all of the things. So I absolutely agree. Let's see. Ooh, Antics of a Mama Squirrel is sharing more info. Teresa Duncan was a talented programmer director who fell into Beck's friend group and was on schedule to do a film with him, but then in Enter Scientology, she got fair game to the point of death. Oh my goodness. Definitely would like to learn more about that. That is tragic. That is tragic. Okay, let's go over to Mark Turi. Mark Turi has been doing a couple of interviews. I think he was on Growing Up in Scientology, and he was on, somebody tell me in the chat, he was just on with somebody else. But he is an ex-Scientologist sharing his story, and he has a new channel here on YouTube. And I want to share it with you guys. It's Mark Turi, Tury, link down below to his channel. Let's take a look at a little clip.
Dianetics is just a way to get people in, to get them to agree that they have a reactive mind. And then once they're in and they agree they have a reactive mind and they have engrams, then you can play with their, false memories, get them high, and then you can get them onto the road that makes more and more money. Dianetics is just a way to get people in.
It's so true. It's so true when you think about it. Oh my goodness. Did I just X myself out? Here I am. Okay, there we go. I clicked on the wrong screen, but it's so true with Dianetics. That is so often it's this gateway where you enter into Scientology, and Scientology really presents it as a science of the mind. Yeah, it that doesn't make a lot of sense, especially today. It's like, it was always like, oh, well, he started Dianetics, after L. Ron Hubbard was done, well, maybe not done, but had experienced the sex cult, the black magic with Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley and all that. He wrote and released Dianetics, saying that it's a science of the mind. And then eventually he went, you know what? A religion would make a lot more money. And the way he explained it to Scientologists was, or who then Dianeticists, is that, well, through my research, I have discovered that man is a spiritual being, and there's this whole religious aspect of it, which I think it's interesting that L. Ron Hubbard discovered that when he kind of had that realization and epiphany that you could make a lot more money with a religion and you would have certain protections as well. So starting people on Dianetics, which the procedure of Dianetics is very hypnotic. It's repetitive. It takes you back to the moment of a time of pain and unconsciousness, and you are to relive it, and share that with your Dianetics auditor and speak of it as if it's happening right now. So if I were telling you about stubbing my toe yesterday, I wouldn't say, yesterday I stubbed my toe, it hurt. It would be like, okay, my auditor would be asking me, what do you see? What do you hear? They're trying to return me to that moment mentally, go back into that moment. So I would say it like, I can smell grass, I can feel the warmth of the sun, and I see this rock, and I trip over it, and as if it's actually happening. There is definitely a hypnotic factor to it, down to when you finish a Dianetic session, the auditor says 3, 2, 1, and snaps their finger. And at the beginning of that session tells you that anything that they say will be canceled, when they snap their fingers, supposedly to stop any type of hypnosis. Phil Jones, well said. So true about getting you high. It's hypnotic euphoria. Very true. Very true. Feral Cheryl, reverie is the way to hook you. That's what they call it in Scientology. So when you're being trained in Dianetics, you're trained to get them right into that incident. And here's the thing about that. Some of these incidents of pain and unconsciousness, these can be incredibly traumatic moments of a person's life. That is the whole idea. In Dianetics, the idea was you then unburden that. But when you have a group of people who don't truly have solutions to mental health, how many people are getting messed up by being sent back to the moment of their abuse of whatever it was and being in it and running through it over and over and over again without somebody who is qualified from a mental health perspective to make sure they get through it, to offer up any tools or true counseling after that. Because Dianetics and Scientology, though they call it counseling, their version of counseling, it's not really that. They are feeding you a series of steps to do over and over and over again. And the only advice you get is how L. Ron Hubbard looked at it, what L. Ron Hubbard thought about it, what L. Ron Hubbard believed about it. And that, my friends, is why Scientology is such a scam. In part. Okay, Antics of a Mama Squirrel said she did a few videos on it. Okay, I need to check that out. If you get a chance, can you send me a link, Natalie@lifeafteroccult.com? Otherwise, I will try to remember to go find it. Antics of a Mama Squirrel. I'll have to go find that. All right, so let's see. Cinta Scientology says, I'm so curious to see what it feels like to do the cans. You use the e-meter in Scientology when you're doing Scientology versus Dianetics. It doesn't really feel like anything. You hold the cans. I mean, you don't feel the current that they say goes through your body. Of course, the procedure is a whole nother thing. Okay, let's talk about some Comic-Con news. And I'm glad that Feral Cheryl is here because Feral Cheryl and Erica were out there at Comic-Con in Florida. I think it was in Tampa, letting people know that Scientology is a cult because guess who was there? Guess who was there outside Comic-Con trying to sell Dianetics books, trying to do pinch tests, trying to do all of the things? Of course, it was Scientology. Casey Cat, thank you for the super sticker. I don't think Tommy being at the Olympics got the effect they wanted. YouTubers everywhere are talking bad about him, his relationship with Suri, and Scientology comedians are having a field day too. Exactly, which is why it's so great when a Scientologist, celebrity, or otherwise puts himself in the public eye because it all follows. It all follows. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about this Comic-Con. Let's talk about what happened in Florida. First, let's look at a clip here. This is from Feral Cheryl. Comics, not cults, is what she's saying. And you can see the Scientologist in the background at the Dianetics table using an e-meter, handing people the cans, saying, please hold my cans, and trying to get them to buy Dianetics. And I'm sure go into Scientology at some point for a film or some Scientology Dianetics auditing. Let's take a look. Use your money for comics, not for cults. Money for comics, not for cults. Anybody else hate their family that want to disconnect? Disconnection available. Costs a lot of money though. That's right. If you want to disconnect from your family and never want to speak to them again, Scientology might be for you, except there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes with it. You got to pay a lot of money. If they don't like your romantic partner, you could face disconnection there and all of the things. Okay, Feral Cheryl says next year I'm getting a booth right next to them. I love this. Especially since at Comic-Con, you can dress up and cosplay and do all of the things. How fun is that too, to be able to do it and be in costume? I want to do that. I do love that. Sharona says comics, not cults is the best tagline for all those cons coming up. Dragon Con is in Atlanta over Labor Day weekend. That's where they have LRH Writers Contest. Ooh, indeed. Okay, so that's in Atlanta over the weekend, over Labor Day weekend. All right, well, hopefully some people can make it out there. Feral Cheryl says she's going to make an alien squirrel costume. Oh, I love it. I love it. I can't wait. I love the creativity. Sassy Gigi says, let's go dressed as Xenu. That would be funny too. Hey, pause for Andrea. Thank you for being here and getting caught up. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that wasn't it because Farrell, Cheryl, and Erica were on fire, letting people know the truth about Scientology as they entered. And you know what was cool too, you guys? The costumes. I just really liked seeing the costumes. So let's take a look.
Oh my God, you look so good. Sectas son malas. No se junten a sectas, eh? Oh, you guys look so good. I love your hair. Oh.
Right here, Scientology. Join a cult today.
Don't join cults, guys. Comics, yes. Cults, no. Comics, yes. Cults, no.
She has a clear message. Comics, yes. Cults, no. Absolutely. Then she had a conversation with two young ladies who were there who had very strong feelings about it. And I appreciate that they're out there living that cult-free life.
Next year.
They were like, oh, they just and I was like, no, I'm like living a cult-free life. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Go on that. My husband got
Yes,
before it's too late. No, it's a cult. Yeah. You gotta go in there and stop it before it's too late.
Absolutely. Next year.
They were like, oh, they
She's living that cult-free life. I love it. And I agree. And there's enough time to plan. I love I just saw a comment. Somebody had said, where is it about the books that, oh, here it was Sandy. We could have all the anti-Scientology books in the booth at Farrell Cheryl. I love that. In fact, is it always in the same month? Somebody tell me, what are we in now? We're at the end of August. So that gives me a year to write my book and get my book out in time for Comic-Con. That would be a great way to, I love that. I love that a lot. Oh, I need to get going on that. Farrell Cheryl says, yeah. Yes, all the books, absolutely. Oh, that sounds like fun. Old Fritz, I love that too. Love those young girls chatting to Farrell Cheryl. Yeah, it was fantastic. So great to see. What also was great to see is over in Boston, Manning 8 was there, along with somebody else who, if somebody knows the other protester, throw his name up in the chat. I know that Cubs Champion is out there, but I didn't recognize this other guy who was there too. And Manning 8 is new to me, so I thought might be new to you. This is in Boston.
Yeah, Scientology is going somewhere. Well, I was thinking about leaving the sign behind just because it'd be funny for people to see it all weekend. But yeah, I'd like to keep it. It's reusable because this number 2 is like a piece of paper. I can like change it. So if Cubs makes it an extra day, we'll make it 3 days. Let me measure this.
I love that he has a sign that is basically tracking how many days since Scientology made a false 911 call, an unnecessary 911 call. And so far it's 2 days. Way to keep track of those stats. I love that. I do. I love it a lot. Okay, so the same person, Manning 8, was over at New Haven at the Scientology New Haven building. And you might be saying, Natalie, why have we not seen a lot about New Haven? Well, because nothing's happening. In fact, we got to wake up the Office of Special Affairs for this one with their dear leader, David MISCAVIGE. We can be loud because I think it's a Tuesday. I know for sure it is a weekday. Okay, so Office of Special Affairs, my friends. You know how you have that building in New Haven and it's been sitting there for over 20 years. You bought it and you didn't do anything with it. And now New Haven's like, hey, boo. You need to pay the taxes on this building. You've not done anything with it for 20 years. You now no longer have tax exempt status on this building, and you need to pay 20 years of taxes. Well, Office of Special Affairs, I feel like one of you should have caught this at some point. Where did somebody not go, hey, you know what? We should do something with the building. We should get some renovations done. I mean, you seem pretty hot and heavy. I mean, this one seems to have a serious, I can't say that. He seriously seemed very, very into it, and it makes him very excitable to open these buildings that are basically just lipstick on a pig, because Scientology is not actually expanding. And by building large buildings, ornate, and spending all of this money when nobody's there, and I know this for a fact because I was just in Kansas City and I saw it for myself. It's empty. There aren't a lot of people there, and the people who you have there are apparently, based on what we learned from not Jerry, not very happy. So you got to do something about it. So we're going to watch this clip, and this might be news to you, our friends in Office of Special Affairs, because you are underworked, underpaid, probably malnutrition. And this is why we got to wake you up when we need to talk about these things. But you got to be on top of this. You guys got to be more on top of this. And I'd like to see you pay the taxes. What could that do for the community? 20 years of taxes on this building. What could that do for that community? It could do a lot. It could do a lot. Do the right thing. Pay the taxes. Pay the taxes. Okay, so what were we? Oh, yes, clip. Let's look at the clip. This is Manning 8 at Scientology New Haven outside their empty building of some 2 decades or so.
Hey, here we are, Scientology cult New Haven. And we're asking Scientology, of course, to pay their taxes. There's one guy who's doing some yard work here. Cult. This is New Haven, and what we're doing is, let me show you the sign that we've got today. Alright, so we've got two-sided, depending on where I'm going to be. We've got cult, but then when I'm at this other building, tax-free cult. Hey, here we are.
I mean, look at that. It does look like an asylum. And then just nothing. You buy it and it just sits there. You made all those people put money on credit cards that they're probably still paying off. Loans individual Scientologists took to pay for this building, and nothing's been done with it. All you've done is rack up a tax bill, a huge tax bill that now needs to be paid. And don't get it twisted. Scientology has the money to pay for this. Do they have the money in New Haven Scientology? No, they don't. But David Miscavige, with all of his war chest of money in the International Association of Scientologists, could take care of that, could have taken care of it, could have actually already paid the money to get the building renovated. Why not? What's happening? What's happening there? What are you hiding? The building could be used for so many other things. Sharon, right, the building could be used for the homeless. It could be used for a lot of things, I'm telling you. Okay, so yeah, that's right. May the force be with you. How many kids' college funds wasted? Exactly. Exactly. College and Scientology is something we're actually just about to get into here. We're going to talk about it. Okay, here's the deal. Thank you for the reminder. Friendly reminder to hit the like button and check your subscribe. Set your notification bell to all. Okay. Scientology in college, higher education. Scientology does not value education, higher education, because they want people to spend their time and their money on Scientology, on accepting only the indoctrination of Scientology and getting an education that might expose you to the psychiatrist, because that's a big thing they use to convince people to not go to higher education, anything beyond the bare minimum of what is legal. They don't want you to do that, because the more educated you become, the more you learn about things, the more you understand yourself and others, what might happen. You might realize that, hey, Scientology is actually not the only solution in the world. And not only that, their practices kind of rub me the wrong way. This whole disconnection thing, the whole not seeing your family, I don't know, prioritizing Scientology over everything else, because in the long run, they're going to save mankind, because this is only one lifetime. That's just a drop in the bucket, which is basically what L. Ron Hubbard dictated. This is one lifetime. It is the blink of an eye. You have all of these lifetimes. You've had all of these lifetimes. So you can do something worthwhile by dedicating your life and the lives of your children, if you have any, to forwarding the aims of Scientology. You will train your children to become good Scientologists and Scientology staff members. And if you're really doing it right, they will join the Sea Organization. It is all part of it. So let's look at this whole Suri Cruise thing. Suri Cruise is just starting in college. I'm so excited for her. She's going to college. She's going to get her higher education. I don't believe, tell me if I'm wrong, if you guys know. I Googled it. I didn't see anything that told me otherwise, but if I'm wrong, let me know. Connor and Isabella Cruz, Tom Cruise's other children, did not go to college. They were raised as Scientologists and are still practicing Scientologists as far as we know. Meanwhile, his biological daughter with Katie Holmes, who he's had, as far as we know, no contact with, though he has continued to support her, including paying for her college, which he should be doing, and he is doing that. So that's good. We will give him that. But don't you think it's interesting? Why didn't the other kids go to college? Bella Cruz went to London, moved there, and was doing Scientology training. I think she did go to school, though, for makeup and hair, but I don't know if she's working in that field. She also started a fashion line, taking some of her artwork and putting it on tote bags and t-shirts. I think she calls it Bella Kidman Cruz. BKC, something like that. It's a line. I looked at it. It's cute. It's taking her artwork and putting it on totes or putting it on t-shirts. But the focus wasn't on education outside of that. And I think it's really interesting that with Suri Cruise, that there's definitely a different way that this is being done purely because of her mom. So let's take a look at this, because Katie Holmes didn't escape Tom Cruise in Scientology just to have her kid, end up in Scientology. This is not going to happen. So this talks about how Katie Holmes supported by fans as she celebrates new chapter after daughter Suri's college move. The Dawson's Creek alum shared an exciting update with fans about her upcoming Broadway show. So she's got this whole Broadway show that's coming out. And the article talks about how Suri, the kid she shares with ex Tom Cruise, moved out of their New York City home and began her first year of college at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, in Pennsylvania. I think this is amazing that she's doing that. And I think this is the Broadway show, Thornton Wilder's Our Town on Broadway, that is coming out. Is it opening in October? So I think in New York, you can go see that. And there's Suri with her little Carnegie Mellon sweatshirt, starting off at college. I mean, how cool and exciting is that? So it really laid it out for me. It gave me a new perspective on this, on what it's like to grow up in Scientology as a Scientologist with Scientology parents versus escaping and getting away from it at 6, and what life became, what her life was like after the cult. And it makes me wonder, do the Cruz kids at any point, do Bella or Connor feel like, wow, she's taken such a different path? Could that have been my path? I don't see that going the other way. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Suri Cruz is sitting there being like, but only if I was raised in Scientology with Papa. No, no, nobody is wondering that. She's having all of these life experience. She went to prom. She's going to college. She's staying in the dorms, which is amazing. That's got to be a really unique experience to come from, living that life with having your mom as Katie Holmes, your dad, even though he doesn't seem to be participating in her life outside of financials as well. But do you guys see that difference? Just how growing up in Scientology, like what would have happened to Suri Cruz had she stayed? Had her mom stayed with Tom Cruise or stayed in Scientology? She likely would not be going to college at this point. And it's not that Scientologists don't ever send their kids to college. That is not true. The vast majority don't, but some of them do. I know of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can think of 5 off the top of my head in the Twin Cities that I knew who had parents who were Scientologists, not staff members, not Sea Org members, and they sent their kids on to college, and they got to have that experience. Unfortunately, a few of them found their way back to Scientology and then on to staff, but at least then they have that education to fall back on should they decide to move out into the world and do something else outside of Scientology, which hopefully they do. Sandy McKenna says, some of my best Scientology research comes from the Carnegie Mellon website. Oh, that's cool to know. Let's see. TN Treasure Finder, some people hire interior decorators to decorate their college dorm room. Really? Seriously? Wow. I have not heard of that. I remember taking my girls, when they first moved into dorms, and there was no college dorm decorator. It was me. It was me with the help of Target, and we did it. Sharon says the college experience is very humbling for Suri. I think it's because of her mother's not spoiling her like her dad did when she was younger, when Kate and Tom were together. That's so true. That is true. That could very much be part of it too. Let's see. And then some of you talking about in New Haven. Yes, they need to pay those taxes. That's right, Dr. MLS. Pay those taxes. Do something for the city. Do something good. Jamie, are all auditing sessions the same? They're same in terms of the rules that follow the procedure and the format. You know, like if you're auditing with a meter, there's certain things you have to do beforehand. You have to make sure the person has had enough sleep and food. You do a test on the e-meter to verify that, and then you start the session. So things around it are very much similar. What you talk about, the auditing procedure, is going to be different. Person to person, depending on where they're at. The steps you do is the same as everybody else. If you're in Scientology and you're doing one of the first steps, everybody else will do that first step in that same way. So you do the same steps. It's just for you, it might mean something different. Let's see. Sins of Scientology says a musical from the view of an ex-member would be amazing. Natalie Webster, Life After Occult, the musical. Oh, I could get behind that as long as I wouldn't have to actually be in it, because I don't sing. I take that back. I sing. I don't let my inability or lack of talent in singing stop me. I still want to experience it. It's Mike Sandoval says, there is no way to calibrate the e-meter without hooking it to a perfect person. That's right, I suppose, in their eyes, right? It's all nonsense. Exactly. That is exactly it. That's what it comes down to. I want you guys to know that today, I believe I'm going to do it probably at 4 o'clock Central, providing that still works with my guests. I'm going to be doing a live. We're going to be sharing some information straight from a Sea Org member, a current Sea Org member in Scientology, a current Sea Org member in the Sea Organization shares her views. And it's really going to give us insight into the mindset of not just a Scientologist, but a Sea Org member. Because you have regular public in Scientology, and you have staff members in Scientology, and then you have Sea Org members. So in the scale of dedication to Scientology, Sea Org members are at the top of that scale. And there's been a lot of questions about what is a day in the life? What does a day in the life of a Sea Org member look like? Why do Sea Org members do this, but Scientologists don't? Why do Scientologists do this, but Sea Org members don't? And what do they think of people protesting Scientology? Yep, a current Sea Organization member. We're gonna hear, and I'm gonna have a guest who's gonna be here with me as well. So yeah, probably about 4 o'clock Central today. I'm gonna put out a notification. If you can't catch it live, catch it on the replay, because I think it's gonna be a really good one. So tune in for that, everybody. Please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, set your notification bell to all on your way out. All of those good YouTube housekeeping things. And if you see something, say something Scientology cult related, email me, Natalie@lifeafteroccult.com, and let's see if we can't talk about it. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here. Most importantly, I hope everybody gets out and has a cult-free day.